What if forgiving someone could change your life forever? We often think of forgiveness as something we do for others, a sign of weakness, or letting someone off the hook. But what if I told you that forgiveness is actually a gift you give yourself? It's a decision to break free from the chains of resentment and anger that bind you. Forgiveness doesn't condone the wrong done to you. It simply releases you from the burden of carrying that pain and hurt. It's about choosing to move forward, not being held captive by the past. Forgiveness is a central theme in spiritual teachings across cultures and religions. In the tapestry of life, we will inevitably encounter situations and people that hurt us. It's easy to become trapped in a cycle of bitterness, replaying past wounds and allowing them to poison our present and future. But forgiveness offers a way out of that darkness. It's a journey of healing that allows us to release the pain, resentment, and anger that keep us tethered to the past. It doesn't mean forgetting or condoning their actions. It simply means choosing to release the grip that those actions have on your heart. Forgiveness sounds so simple, yet it can be one of the most challenging things we ever do. Why is it so hard to forgive? The truth is, forgiveness is a process. It's not a one-time event that magically erases the pain. It's a journey that takes time, courage, and a willingness to confront our own woundedness. We may struggle with feelings of anger, betrayal, and injustice. But here's the thing. Holding on to unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of negativity, preventing us from experiencing the fullness of joy and peace that God has for us. Holding on to unforgiveness allows the past to define our present and future. We carry the weight of past hurts, coloring our perceptions and relationships. The pain becomes a prison, keeping us from joy in the present. But God desires more for us than a life defined by past hurts. He wants us to be free from bitterness and anger. Forgiveness is the key to that freedom. It's a journey of healing, releasing the past, and embracing new possibilities. Jesus often spoke in parables, stories with deeper meanings that illustrated spiritual truths. One such parable, found in the Gospel of Matthew, offers a powerful lesson about forgiveness. In this parable, the king forgives his servant an enormous debt. Overjoyed and relieved, the servant leaves the king's presence, only to encounter a fellow servant who owes him a small amount. Instead of extending the same mercy he had received, the servant demands payment and throws his fellow servant in jail. Jesus concludes the parable with these sobering words: "This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you, unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart." Throughout his ministry, Jesus exemplified forgiveness. He taught his followers to pray, "Forgive us our debt, as we also have forgiven our debtors." Even on the cross, in the throes of unimaginable suffering, Jesus cried out, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Jesus' life and teachings reveal the transformative power of forgiveness. It's not a sign of weakness, but of strength, a choice to break free from the cycle of hatred and revenge. It's about recognizing our own need for forgiveness and extending that same grace to others. Perhaps the most challenging teaching of Jesus on forgiveness is found in his words, "Love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who mistreat you and persecute you." These words seem impossible, even radical. How can we be expected to love those who have hurt us deeply? Jesus isn't suggesting that we condone or excuse hurtful behavior. He's calling us to a higher standard, one that transcends human understanding. Love, in its purest form, is unconditional. It doesn't keep a record of wrongs or seek revenge. It simply loves freely and without reservation. Let me share with you the story of a woman named Mary, a mother who endured unimaginable pain. Mary's son was tragically killed in a hit-and-run accident. The driver was apprehended, but the pain and anger consumed Mary. She couldn't understand how someone could take her son's life and simply drive away. The bitterness and resentment were like poison in her heart. One day, Mary stumbled upon a support group for families who had lost loved ones to drunk driving accidents. As she listened to the stories of others who had experienced similar tragedies, something began to shift within her. She realized that holding on to the anger and bitterness was only destroying her. Mary's journey toward forgiveness was not easy. It was a process that took time, courage, and a willingness to confront her own pain. She began by praying for the strength to forgive the driver. Even though she didn't feel it in her heart, she sought counseling to help her process her grief and anger in healthy ways. Slowly but surely, as she allowed herself to grieve and to release the pain, she began to experience a sense of peace that had eluded her for so long. She realized that forgiveness wasn't about condoning the driver's actions, but about freeing herself from the grip of hatred and bitterness. Mary's story is a powerful testament to the transformative power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of incredible strength. It's a choice to break free from the chains of the past and to embrace the freedom and healing that God has for us. When we forgive, we don't change the past, but we do change the future. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. It's a decision to release the pain, resentment, and bitterness that keep us tethered to the past. It's about choosing to see ourselves and others through the lens of God's love and grace. Each time we choose forgiveness, we take a step closer to healing and wholeness. Imagine a young man named David, imprisoned by anger and resentment. Years ago, David's older brother, Mark, made a series of terrible decisions that ultimately led to their family's financial ruin. David, still a teenager at the time, had to abandon his dreams of college to help support his struggling parents. He felt betrayed by Mark, abandoned, his future stolen. Years passed, filled with bitterness and blame. One evening, while attending a church service, David heard a sermon that pierced through his hardened exterior. The pastor spoke of forgiveness not as a gift to the offender, but as a release for the one holding on to the pain. David felt a stirring in his heart, a flicker of something long dormant. That night, David lay awake, wrestling with his emotions. The anger, familiar and burning, still held him in its grip. But now, a new feeling emerged, a longing for peace, for an end to the constant ache in his heart. He realized that his unforgiveness was not punishing Mark, it was poisoning him. He rose from his bed and knelt down, tears streaming down his face. He prayed, not for Mark, but for himself. He prayed for the strength to forgive, for the courage to let go of the pain that had held him captive for so long. The next morning, David woke up feeling lighter than he had in years. David wrote a letter to Mark. He didn't make excuses for Mark's past actions, nor did he pretend that the pain didn't run deep. He simply wrote from the heart, expressing his hurt and anger, but also his decision to forgive. He wrote of his desire to move forward, to break free from the chains of the past. Weeks later, David received a response. Mark, filled with remorse and gratitude, expressed his deep regret for the pain he had caused. Their reunion was not without its challenges. Years of hurt and resentment don't disappear overnight. But in choosing forgiveness, David opened the door to healing for himself and for his brother. As we reflect on the journey of forgiveness, it becomes clear that its power extends far beyond a single act. Forgiveness is a profound spiritual practice that transforms lives, relationships, and communities. When we forgive, we align ourselves with God's will and His example of unconditional love and mercy. The stories of Mary and David illustrate this beautifully. Mary's choice to forgive the driver who took her son's life allowed her to reclaim her joy and purpose. David's decision to forgive his brother opened the door to reconciliation and personal freedom. Both individuals experienced a profound shift in their lives, demonstrating that forgiveness is not just a gift to the offender, but a transformative gift to ourselves. Forgiveness breaks the chains of anger, resentment, and bitterness that keep us imprisoned. Forgiveness marks the beginning of a new chapter in our lives. It is an invitation to let go of the past and to embrace the future with open hearts and minds. As we release the pain and hurt, we create space for love, joy, and peace to flourish. This journey of forgiveness is ongoing. It requires continual effort, prayer, and reflection. We may need to forgive the same person or situation multiple times, but each act of forgiveness brings us closer to healing and wholeness. It is a process that deepens our relationship with God and enhances our capacity for love and compassion. By embracing forgiveness, we align ourselves with God's will and open our hearts to His boundless love and grace. Let us choose forgiveness today and every day. Friends, forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, it takes courage, and it takes God's grace working in our hearts. Share your experiences with forgiveness in the comments below. Your story might help someone begin their own healing journey. Check out my other videos, and spiritual growth and healing. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. God is with you every step of the way. Subscribe for more inspiring content and click the notification bell.